Hi everyone. So this is the um, box plot, that worksheet that we'll go over. Okay, so what do we got here? We have the following scores. All right, so their scores. They're in a table. So that's really important that by now you should have the concept or the framework on how tables work. All right. So, for example, is this y and this one x, or is this one x and this one y? Do we assume that this one's always x, this one's always y? Well, you know, a lot of the times it's not going to tell you which one's x and which one's y. Because sometimes, we usually assume x is what we're looking for and then y is what the frequency is, right? But because this is not an algebra class, we'll have labels. And you can see it says frequency. So the scores, which is the things that we are talking about, those are the values that we're going to use when we do the mean, median, mode. All right, keep that in mind. So because this is a table, we can multiply, 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 and then add these values. Now, don't do it here because I've seen some people do that. Write them out. Um, okay, I'm going to take some points off if you do that. Just write it out. And then what you can do is you find, right? You find the sums. And then this is not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is not 6. We don't divide by 6. All right? We divide by the total number that we have for the frequency. So this is the sum of the frequency, right? And what is that? 17. So 17 goes into 1463. 86 point something times. And this is the mean. Okay. Now, if we would have, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, if we said 1463 divided by 5 or by 6, right? Right? Then we would have had an answer of like, I don't know, 250. That's super close. 250. Now, is 250 any score? Do you see any score that's close to 250? No. So you can tell right off the bat, right? Again, 250 is an approximation. You can easily tell off the bat that 250 is not going to work, right? Remember that 86.0588 is a balance point. And yes, it could be 86.059. Can it be 86.06? Yes, that's fine for now. Three numbers after the decimal place is great. Okay, if you have them. And no, this is not a chemistry class, so we're not talking about significant digits. Okay. All right, so that's well. First of all, we didn't even say what are we looking for. The mean, median, mode. Oh, okay. Oh, and it says show your work. Okay. So this is showing your work. This is the median. Now, what about the mode? Well, it's best to write them all out, cross it out until you find the center, and I got an 85. And so an 85 is right here for my mode. Don't circle it, all right, and be like, oh, it's right there, Mr. Romero. Didn't you see it? Well, the point is that, write it out, right? Mode is equal to 85 or something, so that I know that you're paying attention. Okay. The mode, most frequent number. Look at the frequency. Which is the most frequent value? 90. So the mode is 90. That's the number that's most frequent, not the frequency itself. So remember, the answer is not 5. All right? Because we want to know that 5 is representing what? 90. 90 people had 5 people who had a score of 90. All right. What else? It says find the 5-number summary, show your work. So we already know what the mode is. And in this case, I did a little bit different from that of the video for those who are finding the position. It's right here. You can look at that. But some of us don't. So we're going to do it the other way. Do you have to find the mode again if it's asking you for the five number summary? Yes. Yeah, find the mode again. At least you already know the answer for that one. Can we just give you this and put it over here instead and then do one list for both problems? No. How come? Because it's too messy. It's a different problem. Just do one problem separate. And the one other reason why, other than no, is that maybe you made a mistake here and you won't make a mistake there, right? Maybe something comes up and you don't see it. Okay, so 85, right, is right here, 85. Which is what? Which is the median, right? And then because we use 85, we can't use that one anymore. So now we're only focused here to find the middle of the middle, which would be Q1. And so you cross them out, right? You cross out, until you find these two. And then you have to find the calculations. And this time, Q1 is 79.5. And again, just because you've written it down over here doesn't mean that, oh, okay, I got the answer and I'm going to get full credit. Remember, you got to put it in a list. And then Q3 is by looking at these values here. So you're looking at the middle of the middle on the right side. And these values here are over here. And then it gives you 90. Okay. And now you can put 90 here. And so these are the answers. I would put these values, right? I would put these values in the calculator, double check to see if all these calculations are correct, double check your work. The previous video, the one that we talked about where the 5-number summary, I did a video on the 5-number summary. Check that one out. I did the calculations. I used the calculator and show you how to use the table. How to use your calculator for a table. Okay. All right. Now that I have the 5-number summary, what can I do with this? Well, let's draw a box plot. Draw a box plot. Okay. I have graph paper that's built in. That's nice. Okay. That's cool. And you can see that the minimum is 77 and the max is 95. So when you get this, let's say on a test, right? The first thing people want to do is like, oh, this is going to be 0 and I don't know, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 100. And then I'm going to do it here. And then your box plot is going to be somewhere here, right? And then all this space is left out and this space as well. You see that? So it's not a good idea to start at 0. Right? Some of you might say, well, can I start at 50? Well, why not 70? It's going to be easier for you. Not only that, you see when I put 70 here, then all these lines will represent one number. And how, you got to get accustomed to it. You have to think a little bit about how you're going to write this out on the number line. That's why it's always good to have a pencil maybe. Or if you're using a tablet, of course, you can erase it. Now, as you can see, chemistry scores. They are scores, right? They're scores from chemistry test. Okay, so chemistry scores. This is scores. You have to put a label here. And now that I have the number line all ready to go, what I did was I looked for 77, it's right here, 79.5, which is about there. 85 is right here. 90 is there. 95 is right there. And if you remember in the lecture, I put, dots. You can see that the dots are here. Do I gotta put dots? No. You can put, you can put stick lines if you want. Okay. And then you can see the box and the whiskers. Now, when you're drawing this, don't draw it this way. Okay, Mr. Romero. Okay. Yeah, okay, yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, that looks good. And, there's my box plot. Well, that's not really nice, is it? So take your time drawing it. Okay. What else? Let's go down here. Let's see what we have. Some questions. What is the highest score on the test? Well, the highest score is a 95, right? Based on the max score, based on our data. And this is what percent of the class scored below 90? So look, here's 90%, right? These are all percents, by the way. And what percent? Yeah, what percent? Well, how do I know what percent? I don't know anything about like the how many scored below 90. Well, you do, because from here to here is 25%. From here to here is another 25%. And from here to here is another 25%. Right? And because 90 is right here, right? A score of 90. And let's not confuse like, oh, it's a 90% or whatever. You scored a 90. So 75% of students scored below a 90. And then 25% of students scored above a 90. Okay? Remember that when we're talking about the 5-number summary and when we're talking about the box plots, right? We're talking about quartiles. Here's the first quarter. Here's the second quarter, but we call it the median. Here's the third quarter. And here's, kind of the fourth quarter. Right here is the 0 quarter. But, we don't talk that way usually. And as you can see, 25% of the data is here. Another 25% of the data is here. Another 25% and another 25% gives you 100% of the data. The thing that a lot of people are confused about when we talk about that is that, well, why is this one longer and this one shorter? And even though this is 25%, this is another 25%. Well, we're not talking about how the information is spread out. 25% doesn't talk about the distance in the whiskers or the box. 25% means that there are, a certain number. Let's say, right, let's say there was 12 values. Well, that means that 3 values are here, 3 values are here, 3 of them are here, and 3 of them are here. Somehow, somewhere, right? These values are in there. So that, 3 out of 12, which is what? 1 over 4, which is 0.25, right? When you divide this, it's 0.25 and multiply by 100, it's 25%. 25% of the data, 25% of 12, which is 3 data points, are in this area. And another 3 out of 12, right, live here. And another 3 out of 12, another 3 out of 12, or 25% of the data lives there. Now, it's not super perfect, And if you have listened to the lecture, it's not a perfect fit. And some of you are like, oh, I already know how to do this. Well, that's great, but some of you don't. So hold on. Here. You can see that 95, there's three 95s, right? There's three data points that are right here, right there. And then what else? There's five 90s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You see? So 25% of the data is right here. And you can see that this quartile here, right, is talking about this area right here, or this general vicinity. And again, we're not talking about how it's stretched out, but how much data points are in there. Okay. So that's why, again, what percent scored above 90, 90, right? Here's 90. 75% scored below 90. 25% scored above. So the answer is 25% of the class scored above 90. Okay. What was the median score on the test? Oh, 85. We have that. Well, the median, right? What else? What percent of the class scored between 77 and 90? What percent scored between 77 through 90? Well, here's 77 and here's 90. What percent, right? So out of the 17 students, how many scored between a 77 and a 90? Well, we know that this area right here, 25% of the students scored above, right? Above, greater than 90. But these people over here, right, scored below 90 or between 77 and 90. And that is 75% of them. Now, of course, the questions could have been different. It could have easily said something like, right, something to the effect of what percent of class scored between an 85 and a 90? 85 and a 90. How many scored there? What percent of students scored there? 25%. Okay. All right, so I think you get the gist. There is a video on how to draw these box plots in your calculator. I don't do it because, it is a lot of steps, and it gives you some information, not super great, because it's a little bit time consuming and a lot of steps, but it will tell you when you trace it, and when you watch the video, or if you already know how to do this, when you trace the graph, you'll know where the first quartile, the median, the max, and the min, and the third quartile is located. Okay, so you can see that there's a lot of work involved in terms of showing your work on the weighted mean, right? And you can see that trying to find the median, you have to start crossing out. I think at this point, you should be getting a bigger picture of how this is going to be representative of our first test. Is that it's starting to grow, and you can use basically the same numbers. I mean, we can have a table like this, and we can talk about draw a histogram, and then find the mean, median, mode, and then find the 5-number summary, then find the box plot. Then pretty soon we're going to be finding some other things. So we're going over the mean because that's going to be happening all the time. And where we're just reviewing all this here is review. Review, so that you can have a better understanding of how to do the problems. This is the thing that's new, the box plot, and how to draw it nicely. Okay, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.